No, seriously. So Oregon State's clearly been struggling lately. They're clearly a rival for you guys. You love beating up on them, but would you prefer to see them be more of a competitive rival to maybe spice things up a bit, especially as someone who's from this state?
I could not. I mean, how do you answer that question? No, I just haven't thought of any aspect of that. We're so concerned about everything going on around here, and trying to improve and get ready for finals and manage all the things around this week. We've got between obviously game preparation. You've got leading up to Dead Week and finals. You've got our banquet. A bunch of family in town. All the potential distractions that you try to keep everybody focused on what we're doing, and the last thing on my mind is anybody else's perceived issues. I've got a ton of respect for Coach Anderson. He's another guy. Obviously a great football coach, but he seems like a really good man. And we are totally focused on our preparation, and that's really it.
How do you think if you were in that situation, you would embrace the challenge in a situation like that? So you would find fun, interesting?
Sure. I mean, it's a different kind of fun. It's a different kind of process. And I've been there, man. I've been in the exact same situation, and what you're doing is right. What you're doing is long term. What you're doing is it's going to pay off. It's just so hard to convince the different constituencies, whether it's your team first and foremost, or all the people that surround it. That kind of vector is going the right way. But it's that is kind of fun.
Now you refer to Colorado in terms of being there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, sorry. Fine. It wasn't a one-on-one?
Yeah, it's our moment.
Oregon State's going through something very similar to what you guys went through with the whole quarterback rotation and uncertainty earlier in the year. What is that like that you see for the players and as a coach trying to find that level of comfort, that rhythm of throwing to and receiving the pass amongst the players?
I think the rhythm of throwing to and receiving the pass can be a bunch of different ways. It's more so how just how the momentum or the direction of your offense is going to go. When you have one guy that's playing really well and is a great practice player at quarterback, that affects everybody. That makes everybody have a little bit more of an edge. Your special teams are better. Your backup linebackers are better. All those things, that's contagious. If you're finding your way through things and you have a distinct package for each guy, which sometimes you have to do it that way. Sometimes it's, hey, we're gonna run our offense and try to figure out who's the best to do that. And then once you do that, then you can fine tune things to that guy. And so that can inhibit the growth rate of just the efficiency of things. At the same time, that can happen instantly sometimes as well. So it just depends on the situation.
AJ.
Coach, obviously this is a short week, made even shorter by the holiday. What adjustments do you have to make as coaches schedule-wise, and how do you regain the guys' focus at the appropriate times when the week's broken up like this?
Yeah, we try to just keep it as similar as we can to a normal week. We kind of basically mashed Sunday and Monday into Sunday. And our biggest thing is when we watch the film, we have a team meeting, that week is done. And whether that's whoever we just played, USC or Stanford, or going back through it throughout the year, is you turn the page and you turn the page toward correcting what you didn't do well, building on what you did do well, and start game plan. And the playing a Friday game is not it's not that drastic of an adjustment. I think the biggest adjustment, like Chip and those guys I know have a Sunday to Thursday this week. That's a little harder, just a 2-day difference or a 3-day difference in that case. That's significant. One day you can hybridize pretty easily. Is that a word? Should be if it's not.
Mike Riley was the face of Oregon State for a long time. What's it like preparing for a Beavers team that doesn't have Mike Riley on that sideline, and kind of to that preparing for a new coaching staff?
Yeah, it's there's so much. There's a lot of familiarity of their staff, even with Coach Anderson being new. Kind of the sort of Utah component with Coach Sataki and their defense, Coach Baldwin and their offense. There's enough familiarity of kind of that from a schematic standpoint that we know about. But with Gary Campbell and Steve Greatwood and some of these other guys that have had 35 plus Civil Wars or something like that there's been a few other guys on that sideline. And so again, you're so much more concerned with what you're doing, not so much who's on their sideline, who's between the white lines. That's more of a concern.
Andrew?
I think you said in the past that the Vernon's game against OSU in 2013 was the first kind of time you really took notice of him. Is that true? Either way.
Yes.
What about him when you were recruiting him? Led you to think that he could kind of do that stuff week in and week out like he's been doing these last 4 or 5 weeks?
I don't know if we really did know that, necessarily. I think that's kind of the X factor things that you can see a guy. It's easy when things are great and they keep working or whatever, but when things aren't great, how do they respond? Or maybe if things aren't, are going well, how they continue to do that. I think if there was any kind of insider knowledge, it was from a couple guys on our staff that have a relationship with his high school coach that, at the time he was coming out, he was, selling Vernon and which again, every high school coach does that. But all those kind of things, the competitive things, the intangible things, were very positive. And so, if there was any kind of leg up knowledge-wise, it would have been that.
Mike Scow on the back.
With it being the last week for another class of seniors, does that list of emotions of that bittersweet feeling, that proud feeling, that appreciation, does that ever change? Or do you always feel that proud, that happy for this next group of guys that are moving on that have helped sustain the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's again very unique to the individual. I remember last year at the senior day, and it was kind of wave after wave of emotions for very different reasons. Very few of them have to do with football. Whether it's guys overcoming something, guys that. You helped recruit guys, just all the things that kind of go into that. Seeing these guys grow up, that's a lot of fun, and it's very emotional. Sometimes the good thing about it is we get another game, hopefully with everybody. But yeah, that's very natural, but very individual too. Some guys that won't hit them until they, come off the field of their last game that they know is their last game. Some guys, Autzen Stadium has that, much more of an effect. Sometimes it's their family. You just never know exactly what makes that happen.
Tyson?
Can I go? Did you have a favorite Oregon State player growing up?
Did I have a favorite Oregon State player growing up? If I had any favorite, which this is like sacrilegious at some level, but Ralph Miller, just watching Ralph Miller, that was always entertaining.
Why?
He was entertaining. Anytime you can smoke cigarettes on the sideline and do what they did, that was always good stuff. And he yelled at a good friend of mine at the basketball camp one time. Chicken Wing Paul.
Anything else? Oh,
Can
Go
I do another one since I got it? Since this is the last time you guys play before wherever they decide you guys are going to go, there's several projections for where you guys could end up, possibly even as high as like the Fiesta Bowl. Is there any incentive to kind of leave a stamp on this game, leave a mark to, just so it kind of lingers in whoever's selecting where you guys go?
Yeah, if that's one of the fallouts kind of where we are, as soon as you lose a game, you lose that control. But we want to play great for a lot of reasons, and if that's one of them that our guys use to fuel their preparation, great. And then we want to play great on Friday because we get to play, and we want to compete our tail off and go against a hungry opponent that this will be their Super Bowl, it's their bowl, and we know that, and our guys, again, if they can use any of that stuff to put in that kiln to stoke it, to fire it, their preparation, great.
Any other questions?
Jerry Allen.
Coach, being it's a Friday game, Black Friday, will you still be in line at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get some of those deals for the game day?
See, when you said Black Friday, I immediately thought of like their uniforms or something. I didn't even know where that was going, but I'm sure my wife will be on top of Black Friday.
Serious question. This point of the season, game planning, execution is probably the biggest aspect of what you do, although you do work on their offense and defense. But do you game plan at this point of the season with the team by saying, look, we're going to impose our will on you. Here's what we do best. You try to stop us. Or do you try to work basically on what they present?
I think it's always both. I think you're always going to try to do your deal, so to speak. But then you're also going against a unique set of scheme and personnel every week. And so again, whether it's Oregon State or USC, you're gonna prepare to what you think your perceived strengths are. You're going to prepare against what you think their perceived weaknesses are. Their percentages of zone versus man versus run pass out of this format. All those things the variables that you look at, and that's pretty standard.
Anything else? Oh, Mike.
I think he's over his limit.
Matt Lubick said he's a white turkey guy. Dwayne Stanford says he's a stuffing guy. What's your dish of choice at Thanksgiving?
See, I'll fit right in with those guys both. I love the stuffing. Gotta have stuffing and dressing. That's key. But yeah, turkey, everything. I love everything Thanksgiving.
What's the difference between stuffing and dressing?
One's in the bird, one's not. Right? Isn't that the AJ? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Sharp jump.
Okay.